This tower was once the laboratory of a man that many might consider to be a mad scientist. This is a laboratory from another time. Its construction and use occurred upon the turn of the 20th century. You see, Nikola Tesla, one of America's greatest inventors, built a research facility that shaped the technology we use today. And although its impact was major, it only stayed open for a year. In that short time, he made discoveries and believed he was communicating with aliens. Today, we discover the lost laboratories of Nikola Tesla. I'm your host, Ryan Sokash, and you're watching It's History. Nikola Tesla was born in the Austrian Empire in what is now Croatia on July 10th, 1856. From an early age, Tesla showed an interest in technology and inventing. He built wind turbines in elementary school and dreamt of using Niagara Falls for power. Ultimately, he immigrated to the United States in 1884 and upon arrival immediately began working on his research. 4 years after moving to the States, Tesla applied for his first patent. He worked briefly for fellow inventor Thomas Edison, but their professional relationship ended shortly after business and communication disputes. After leaving this job, Tesla worked on developing the first alternating current motors. Realizing that Edison's vision was inefficient, Tesla worked on a system that simultaneously sent multiple waves of electricity in various directions. Along with other inventors, such as Marconi, Thomas Edison was a rival of Tesla, and they spent their careers competing to be the first to innovate wireless communication technology. Tesla's success varied between projects, but his competition with peers lasted as they fought for investor attention. While many compare the inventions of Nikola Tesla to Thomas Edison, most would agree that there is at least one significant distinction. Edison was much more business-oriented than Tesla. While Tesla could still gain outside support for his various projects, he always seemed to need help in reaching financial success. While both inventors focused on similar fields of technology, Tesla worked much more independently than Edison, who hired others to work on various tasks simultaneously. As a result, Edison had over 1,000 patents by the end of his life, while Tesla had about 300. Edison had a much more capitalistic approach to his inventions, while Tesla contained his work mainly to himself. Edison died in 1931 with tremendous financial success, whereas Tesla would pass broke and alone in a New York hotel room, but more on that later. The upside is that both inventors contributed significantly to science and American history. So what about that bizarre laboratory I showed you at the top of the video? Well, that was the key to Tesla's most epic work, the Tesla coil. 8 years before the opening of his laboratory, Tesla invented the Tesla coil in 1891. This invention could solicit much energy within an electric charge, measured in volts. One Tesla coil can have over 1 million volts of power at a time, with small ones usually having about 60,000 volts. The Tesla coil is unusual because unlike other devices with this voltage level, it is much safer due to the energy flowing outside one's body instead of inside. The exception comes from the coil turning on and off rapidly, creating high-frequency electricity. The Tesla coil would continue to be relevant in the short life of the Tesla experimental station. Although it was considered safer than other objects of similar voltage, the Tesla coil could still cause problems with power outages during Tesla's time in Colorado Springs. This bizarre laboratory was quickly built in May of 1899. Immediately, onlookers were captivated by the exterior's appearance, where a sizable 250-foot tall tower was protruding from the roof covered in electrical cords. At the top, there was a ball. This structure was designed with wireless communication studies in mind. Tesla told the press that he was focused on this research. Additionally, the building was fully lit with bright lights so that the laboratory could be seen from afar, and often sparks were visible as well. Locals to Colorado Springs were fascinated by the unusual building, never dared to come too close. Tesla put up signs warning about trespassing, weary about his privacy during his research. On November the 16th, 1899, an issue of the Evansville Courier and Press described the building as, quote, barn-like and, quote, queer-looking, but emphasized the significance of Tesla's work. It detailed Tesla's promise to showcase wireless communication between New York and Paris shortly. In the following years, reporters would grow skeptical of Tesla's predictions, but many were easily convinced. In the early days of the experimental station, Tesla fiercely guarded the laboratory with additional structures such as a significant engine by the entrance to protect the employees. The core of the design is described as, quote, cylindrical-shaped contrivances made from wood with relatively small dimensions compared to the tower above. And it was this laboratory that was home to the world's most enormous Tesla coil, at almost 50 feet in diameter. Due to the high voltages emitted in the laboratory, both the giant Tesla coil and the many bright lights, on account of the type of experiments unfolding here, the station did cause a power outage at one point, but this did not stop Tesla's experiments. In fact, this is where the story gets interesting. By December of 1899, Tesla began receiving unknown signals in the lab. He believed this was possibly extraterrestrial communication, which he shared with a reporter on December the 8th. He claimed to the media that aliens had spoken to him after the laboratory was abandoned. Despite his adamancy to the press, Tesla was ridiculed for his claims, which were treated as sensational. The Chicago Journal, via the San Francisco Call, jokingly called Tesla, quote, the promiser, and suggested that perhaps he accomplished more before his claims would be believed. Despite the skepticism, many reporters assumed that Tesla was communicating with aliens, specifically on Mars. But we know now what he couldn't have known then, as later analysis of Tesla's claims suggests that he heard other researchers' transmissions rather than anything from another world. Tesla continued to share his supported discoveries in 1901, suggesting that the aliens he spoke with could be from any nearby planet. Yet sadly, his lack of business savviness would get the best of him, and despite the technological advances in the laboratory, Nikola Tesla had to shut down his research facilities and return to New York City. In the following years, he continued to struggle with debt, and in 1904, the Tesla experimental station was destroyed to pay back his investors and others he owed money to. And from this point, mostly conspiracy theories about the lab remain. Tesla's beliefs in alien communication led to conspiracy theories decades after his death, as public interest in outer space grew with the space race. Rather than one large theory stemming from Tesla's alien claims, various conflicting theorists have attributed the signals within the Tesla experimental station as the starting point for their specific ideas. One theory, the Black Knight satellite theory, sometimes claimed that the signals Tesla heard came from an alien spacecraft orbiting our planet. Commonly called the Black Knight satellite, NASA is debunking this theory and attributes various other unrelated UFO sightings as evidence. Tesla's 1899 communications are considered one of the early appearances of this supposed aircraft. The Black Knight satellite is most likely space debris, and no verifiable evidence proves its legitimacy. Tesla's claims sparked interest from the public in the possibilities of nearby alien life. Still, despite the evolution of wireless communication technology, there hasn't been any solid evidence to support it. After his tenure in Colorado Springs, Nikola Tesla returned to New York City and continued to struggle financially. Yet despite his struggles, he never lost passion for inventing. Hence in 1901, he attempted to build a new structure, the Wardenclyffe Tower, also known as the Tesla Tower. The tower was built to be a wireless telecommunications and power transmission station, aiming to provide free wireless energy to the entire world. Tesla began working on the tower project in 1901 with the backing of financier J.P. Morgan. The tower was built in Shoreham, New York on a 200-acre site that Tesla had purchased. It was designed to be 187 feet tall and was topped with a large metal dome, given its odd appearance. The laboratory complex surrounded the tower, including a large building for experimental work and research. Tesla's vision for the tower was to transmit power wirelessly through the Earth and atmosphere, using the natural resonant frequencies of the planet. He believed this could be achieved by creating a standing wave in the Earth's atmosphere, transmitting energy wirelessly without needing cables or wires. He thought this technology could revolutionize the world, providing free energy to everyone. Tesla encountered numerous obstacles during the construction of his famous tower. The project was expansive, and Morgan, who had initially funded the project, withdrew his support when he realized that Tesla's vision for the tower needed to be financially viable. Tesla had to raise additional funds to help complete the project, and his financial situation became increasingly precarious. The building was finally completed in 1905, but was never fully operational. Not only was Tesla broke, but he became embroiled in legal battles with his investors. The building fell into disrepair, and Tesla eventually lost control of the property. The tower was ultimately dismantled in 1917, and the land was sold. The laboratory complex was demolished, and the tower was scrapped for its valuable metal components. Today, all that remains of the tower is the concrete foundation, which can still be seen. And I'd like to point out that even though the tower was never fully operational, this effort was not for nothing. Tesla's vision for wireless power transmission inspires scientists and innovators to this very day. The concept of wireless energy transmission is still being explored, and some believe it could one day become a reality. Tesla's legacy as an inventor and visionary continues to inspire people worldwide. After the fall of this lab, Tesla continued to solicit donations, but it was a lost cause as investors were more interested in Marconi after he successfully transmitted a wireless signal from England to Newfoundland. Although Marconi gained credit for this work, Tesla pointed out that many of his patents were used, leading to legal actions that reached the US Supreme Court. In later years of his life, Nikola Tesla began to struggle with his mental health visibly. The Smithsonian claims that Tesla specifically showed signs of obsessive-compulsive disorder and potential neurodivergence. They specifically used the term high-functioning autistic as a fixation. Tesla publicly continued his work but became much more reclusive, preferring the company of said fixation to that of mankind. Despite his reclusion, Tesla continued to be a significant figure in the public eye. For example, he appeared on the cover of Time magazine for his 75th birthday in 1931. Despite his lack of retirement, Tesla continued to live in debt for the rest of his life. And his passing wouldn't be cinematic, as he left this world in a locked room of the New Yorker Hotel on January the 7th, 1943. The cause of death was heart failure. He was 86 years old, and an employee of the hotel found him. Although Nikola Tesla died alone and in poverty, his legacy lives on in the technology we take for granted today. However, there is a silver lining here. Thanks to the marketing work of Elon Musk, his name has now become an important figure, cemented in our culture. Although its physical remains are lost, the Tesla experimental station shaped our daily lives. Case in point, you're likely watching this video on a cell phone, a device that evolved from Tesla's 1899 research in the Colorado Springs laboratory.